If you've ever stood on a beach looking out at the open ocean, it probably just looks like this massive, empty expanse of water, right? Just a blank canvas where a ship can point its bow and go. Well, what if I told you that couldn't be further from the truth? The ocean is actually paved with a vast, completely invisible infrastructure. We're talking highways, complex intersections, restricted zones, and mandatory reporting stations. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're going to completely shatter that illusion of the open sea. We are unpacking the ultimate maritime rulebook that keeps global trade moving and, crucially, keeps our oceans safe. Okay, let's dive into this. Enter the brand new 2025 edition of the Ship's Routing Guide. This is published by the International Maritime Organization, or IMO. Now, think of the IMO as essentially the global traffic authority for the high seas. Without the incredibly detailed guidelines packed into this massive volume, international shipping would be absolute chaos. We'd have supertankers colliding in narrow straits and cargo ships accidentally dropping anchor right on top of fragile coral reefs. It'd be a mess. This single document is really what orchestrates the safe, reliable movement of the entire global supply chain. So, to navigate this massive regulatory framework without getting lost at sea, we've mapped out our own routing scheme for this explainer. We'll be hitting 1. The ocean's invisible highways. 2. Rules of the road. 3. Traffic separation schemes. 4. Deep water and danger. And finally, 5. Global communication and reporting. All right, let's kick things off with Part 1, the ocean's invisible highways. Now, it's important to understand that the rules governing global ship traffic didn't just magically appear overnight. We can actually trace the very first edition of ship's routing all the way back to 1970. And over the years, through various IMO assembly sessions, like some pivotal ones specifically noted from 2005, these regulations have just been constantly refined. They have to adapt, right? Ships are getting bigger, the seas are getting busier. So what we have right now, the 2025 version, is the monumental 15th edition. It represents over half a century of accumulated, hard-won maritime safety knowledge, all bound up as the definitive word on ocean navigation. Now, what's really interesting here is a note right in the introductory pages. It explicitly states, this edition supersedes all previous editions and includes all routing measures adopted by IMO up to and including the 110th session, which, by the way, takes place in June 2025. I love this because it proves that ocean shipping routes aren't just, static lines drawn on some dusty old map. This is a highly dynamic, living document. It's constantly being updated to reflect new environmental protections, shifting traffic patterns, and the absolute latest safety protocols from the Maritime Safety Committee. Which brings us to Part 2, Rules of the Road. So how do you even begin to organize a rulebook that covers the surface of the entire planet? Well, the true anatomy of ocean traffic is meticulously divided into specific parts. Part A lays out the general provisions, basically your fundamental objectives and definitions. But the real meat of the operation is in the specific designations. Part B dictates the traffic separation schemes. Think of these as your major divided interstate highways. Then you've got Part D, which covers areas to be avoided, and Part E, which designates no anchoring areas. So right away, you can see how the IMO categorizes the sea. You've got your high-speed lanes, your off-road safe paths, and your absolute strictly restricted no-go zones. Let's zoom in on Part 3, Traffic Separation Schemes. We really need to focus our attention on Part B because when we talk about the highways of the sea, this is exactly what we mean. These traffic separation schemes are designed to keep vessels that are moving in opposite directions safely apart, which is absolutely crucial in crowded waters. Just think about the sheer scope of the regions covered here. We're talking the Baltic Sea, Western European waters, the Mediterranean, the Black Sea, the Indian Ocean, Southeast Asia, Australasia, and honestly, that is just scratching the surface. It continues right into North and South America and the Pacific coast. Running down this rapid-fire list of massive geographic zones really highlights the truly staggering global jurisdiction of the IMO. They aren't just managing traffic in a single canal, they are literally choreographing the movement of ships on a planetary scale. To ground these abstract rules in a bit of reality, let's look at the Indian Ocean and its adjacent waters. The documentation lists some incredibly evocative, real-world geographical choke points. For instance, you've got highly specific traffic schemes for the Gulf of Suez, the Strait of Hormuz, and the Strait of Bab el-Mandeb. These aren't just random patches of water. These are some of the most critical, heavily trafficked maritime corridors for global energy and commerce on Earth. Literally, a single major collision here could disrupt the entire global economy. And that is exactly why these rigid traffic separation schemes exist in the first place. Let's move on to Part 4, Deep Water and Danger. Because
The ocean isn't just about moving fast, it's also about navigating safely based on the crazy physical limitations of these massive vessels, and of course, the fragility of the environment. So we have this stark, fascinating contrast between Part C and Part D of the guide. Part C establishes deep water routes. These are essentially specially surveyed underwater canyons. They are absolutely required to safely guide massive ships, some of which are literally longer than the Empire State Building is tall, because they need immense clearance beneath their hulls. But then, on the exact opposite end of the spectrum, you have Part D, areas to be avoided. These rules exist not to protect the ship from the ocean, but to protect the ocean from the ship. They completely restrict access to shield highly sensitive marine environments.
And when you dig into these restricted zones across Part D and Part E, the level of global environmental protection is actually incredible. The guide explicitly mandates that ships avoid or absolutely do not anchor in places like the Papahanaumokuakea Marine National Monument, the Saba Bank, and the Galapagos Archipelago. It even includes highly specific no anchoring mandates for the Flower Garden Bank's coral reefs. These aren't polite suggestions. These are strict, internationally agreed upon no-go areas to ensure that global shipping doesn't accidentally destroy the planet's most vital marine ecosystems. And it's not just the massive nature reserves either. When you look at the guidelines for northwestern European waters, it shows just how many highly localized spots require meticulous navigation to avoid disaster. We're talking avoidance zones around specific buoys in the Dover Strait, steering clear of wind farms like Borcella Pass, and strict no anchoring areas off the Hook of Holland. A modern ship's captain isn't just staring at an empty romantic horizon. They are actively navigating a heavily mined obstacle course of invisible, highly regulated boundaries. All right, bringing us to our final section, Part 5, Global Communication and Reporting. Because, let's be real, all these rules and designated lanes are completely useless if ships aren't actively participating in the system. The routing guide ensures compliance through a massive web of associated rules and reporting systems. Part G lays out highly specific navigation rules for really complex areas, like the Strait of Istanbul. Part H deals with the unique, tricky challenges of archipelagic sea lanes, such as those cutting through Indonesian waters. But perhaps most vitally, Part I mandates active ship reporting systems. This is where global cooperation really shines, creating a real-time, communicative network that totally supersedes older passive navigation methods. For example, the mandatory systems list specific, required check-ins. You have GoFrep in the Gulf of Finland and WETREP, which is the West European Tanker Reporting System. This brilliantly illustrates that ships simply aren't just moving silently in the dark anymore. They are constantly pinging authorities, reporting what cargo they have, where they're heading, and what their status is. It's this highly choreographed, continuous conversation happening worldwide 24/7, keeping these invisible highways safe and efficient. So, we come right back to our original thought. Is the ocean really just empty water, or is it a meticulously choreographed network of global commerce? Well, as we've seen throughout this explainer, it is absolutely not empty. The IMO's 2025 Ships Routing Guide proves that the sea is a highly regulated, invisible blueprint of highways, safety buffers, and environmental shields. It's the hidden infrastructure that quite literally keeps our modern world running smoothly. The next time you look out at the sea, I hope you can picture that incredible, invisible network hiding just beneath the waves. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. Stay curious and keep exploring.